Story 1. Trader Joe's does this thing regularly. They used to have a 0% vanilla bean frozen Greek yogurt that I bought religiously. Then one day it was gone. The employees said they switched to vendor and that was that. They also used to have a 7-layer dip too, same thing. Anytime I ask an employee, they say, "Oh yeah, I remember that stuff. It was really good." But the same story about the vendor, and it's just gone. Edit to add the frozen part of the yogurt. You can still find vanilla bean Greek yogurt elsewhere, but not frozen. Story 2. The original Dunkaroos, not that crap they sell now. McDonald's snack wraps, pudding pops, Flintstone sherbet pops, lime Coke, vanilla Coke Zero, 3D Doritos, peach Snapple tea in a glass bottle, strawberry kiwi Gatorade. Not the same thing as the zero flavor you can get now, mango salsa flavored Lay's. Story 3. Orville Redenbacher caramel popcorn with the slabs of caramel you melted in the bag. I haven't seen it in like a decade. I always burned my mouth because I would eat it too soon, but it was so good. Story 4. McDonald's chicken selects. I miss them. I crave them with each of my pregnancies. Both times, I have cried multiple times because I craved them so badly. Story 5. Old school deep-fried McDonald's pies and old Ghirardelli chocolate before they changed the formulation sometime in the 2000s. Today I learned, only the continental United States has been deprived of deep-fried happiness. Why would we do this to ourselves? Story 6. The original formula Tang. I used to freeze my Tang in a water bottle and have a Tang-flavored slushie. The best sweet and sour combination. Now if you freeze it, the texture is all messed up. Almost like chunks of a fatty substance when it defrosts. They changed it back in the 2000s sometime. Man, I loved my Tang. The original Lori's spaghetti sauce mix. The new one is okay, but it isn't as rich as it used to be. Edit to add. Jack in the Box chicken sandwich from the 1980s. Had a whole wheat colored bun and melted Americanized Swiss cheese on it. Yummy. Story 7. Bonkers candy. To make it worse, they have been teasing a re-release for about 10 years, but apparently, they can't remember how the equipment worked. Pizzeria chips. Story 8. Real Jolly Ranchers, the old square ones that would last about an hour, were discontinued when the company was bought out by one of the big names in the 90s. Story 9. 3D Doritos, hands down. Those crunchy little triangles of joy were like a party in your mouth, and I still can't believe they vanished. I swear, my taste buds throw a tiny tantrum every time I remember them. Story 10. Häagen-Dazs coffee frozen yogurt. This was totally a product of the low-fat craze of the 90s, and I'm sure it was full of all kinds of sugars and artificial stabilizers, but man was it good. I could eat the entire pint in one sitting. I feel like absolute garbage after, but it was worth it. Story 11. More of an entire menu, but Panera Bread circa 2006. Back when they had the original Italian sandwich, the turkey artichoke panini, and French onion soup that wasn't homeopathic. Pains me how absolutely terrible that place is now. Story 12. Jennie-O and another company produced turkey loaf. It was located in the frozen food section, packaged in an aluminum container that you could place directly in the oven. It was the size of a small loaf of bread. My oldest son absolutely loved it when he was younger, especially during times when we were less financially stable. Unfortunately, the turkey loaf was an early casualty of COVID-19 and was discontinued. Story 13. Butterfinger. Ferrero massacred my old favorite candy bar, and I hate them so much for it. The abomination pretending to be Butterfinger is nothing but a cheap imitation, parading around in its skin. Rest in peace, Butterfinger. 1923 to 2019. Story 14. Mine is Nabisco cheese nips. God, those little things were so good. I have no idea why they got discontinued. It was years ago, 2020, but I have yet to forget or forgive, and to this day, refuse to buy any other Nabisco products in silent protest to them removing their single most delicious item from the shelves. It breaks my heart. I miss you, cheese nips. Story 15. Arby's roast beef sub from the 90s was so much better than anything they have now. I have no idea what the sauce was, but they don't have it anymore. Story 16. Not discontinued, but definitely missed the old Totino's pizza when it was called crisp crust and was round. They also had an extra ingredient, I believe it was fennel seeds, that made it taste so much better than the one they sell today. Story 17. For some reason, recently, I have wanted some of that awful International Delights instant coffee-flavored drink stuff. It really wasn't that good at all. And yet, I seem to want some of it. Story 18. Does anyone remember Squeeze-Its? The juice boxes? They even had the changing color edition where you would put a little pellet in, and it changed colors before you drank. In hindsight, training kids to put pills in their drinks was probably not good. The 1990s were wild. They would probably be wildly gross as an adult, but definitely nostalgic for them. Story 19. Carnation breakfast bars and Nature Valley yogurt and granola bars. Oh, and Jell-O pudding pops. I also mourn how Hostess, Drake's, and others do not taste so good anymore. Sort of blah and a little bit waxy. Oh, how the deities of Munch have forsaken me. Story 20. Cracklin Oat brand cereal. It still exists, but ever since they moved to this current hyperdense version of the recipe, it has just gone completely downhill. When I was a kid in the 90s, that was my all-time favorite cereal. Story 21. There was a Chinese restaurant called Chef Express in the early 2000s in Boise, Idaho. It delivered until 2 a.m. and it was the best here. They used dark meat for General Tso's chicken. Essentially, there was no breading, but the small strips were still super crispy. The sauce was thick, inky black with small amounts of tiny spicy peppers in it. The pork fried rice was also amazing. None of it involved any Cisco products. The owner passed away. I have been searching ever since for a replacement. Nothing has come close. Story 22. Taco Bell XXL grilled stuffed burrito. I would substitute the ground beef for steak, and it was around $5. It was big enough to completely fill me up and competed with dine-in restaurants flavor-wise. I guess people just didn't order it since it was removed, but I seriously never go to Taco Bell anymore compared to going once every week to 2 weeks when it was on the menu. Story 23. Marukan Yakisoba, regular teriyaki flavor. They discontinued it and replaced it with beef teriyaki, which tastes nothing like the original. And the trouble is, if you've ever had real yakisoba, the original teriyaki flavor was the only one that tasted like the actual thing. Mrs. Grass chicken noodle soup. They still make it, but they took away the golden egg. It dissolved in the soup and released about a tablespoon of schmaltz. It was so delicious. Without it, their product isn't worth buying. Campbell's green pea soup. Not split pea and ham, just regular green pea. I used to make it with milk and butter. It was my favorite lazy meal. Back in the early 90s, there were these fizzy fruit water drinks. I think they were called Mystic. They had a foil wrapper and looked like wine coolers. My friends and I would buy them and pretend we were drunk. Story 24. Stuffed bagel bites. Chili's queso bites. Canadian exclusive. Our compliments Pub Classics puff pastries from Sobeys. Snapple lemonade in a glass bottle. Bagel fulls, specifically the chive ones. And my husband mourns Pizza Craver Doritos. Story 25. The original two greats, California Cooler and Bartles and James Wine Cooler, from the early 1980s. Trust me, they would sell like crazy in this age of flavored hard seltzers. The only reason that they went off the market back then was that the wine product tax quadrupled. Bring them back. Story 26. Apple Slice Soda by Pepsi. Essentially, carbonated apple juice, but it was very refreshing and tasted delicious. I used to put it in the freezer until it was icy cold but not slushy, and it was the perfect drink for a hot summer day. Curse you, Pepsi. Story 27. Haagen-Dazs Limoncello Gelato. 5 ingredients: eggs, cream, sugar, lemons, vodka. It was phenomenal. Zesty with the right amount of sweet and creamy. What a dream. Story 28. Mentadent toothpaste was the best toothpaste ever made, and I stopped getting compliments from the dentist during my cleanings ever since I ran out. Story 29. The Arch Deluxe. It was the grown-up burger, and I was a kid when it came out, but I loved it. The bun and sauce were way better than regular McDonald's. Unrelated, but I also miss pizzerias. Story 30. Bug City candy was my favorite treat when grocery shopping. Little fruity, crunchy candies that looked like bugs came in a reusable bug jar. I had a collection of jars. Story 31. The Cheesecake Factory has disappointed me greatly on 3 occasions. 1. By discontinuing the chicken Caesar sandwich, which was amazing. 2. By discontinuing the shrimp po' boy, that remoulade was outstanding. 3. By discontinuing the Reese's peanut butter chocolate chip cookie dough cheesecake. If I am elected as the world leader, my first act will be to exact terrible vengeance upon whoever was responsible for these decisions.